All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome, everybody. This is the first in a series of webinars that we'll be doing on a quarterly basis that revolve around the MxMobile offering from A3J Group. So my name is Alex Walter, and I'm excited to take you through this today. For the format, we'll be doing a webinar style presentation. We'll actually dive in and show different parts of the application. Um, if you guys have any questions, there should be a Q&A section that you can put questions in. We'd be happy to field questions as we go, and we'll be sure to save some time at the end to tackle questions as well. So feel free to utilize that Q&A section of the webinar for any questions that you may have along the way. Okay, so just we'll go through a couple slides to begin with, just to sort of introduce things. We are A3J Group. We're based out of Tampa, Florida, and we've been doing this for 10 years now, so pretty excited about that. We're very much technical folks, love pushing the envelope with new ideas and technologies, and part of that obviously is our offering for mobile. We are a gold level IBM business partner and have quite a few certifications when it comes to MxMobile. Been doing it a long time. So for an agenda today, what we're going to do is really just we're going to talk about less about features and more about just basic logging in, troubleshooting, application security, searching, save queries, and get into some basic configuration. So really just sort of some of the things that people who may be new to the app or have questions about. We understand that, we've been getting a lot of questions on, how do I search, or why does the searching behave a certain way? Just basic things like that. We'll cover some of that today. And then on future webinars, like I said, we're going to do this on a quarterly basis. Maybe we get into some more features and capabilities, and we really have some room to go in different directions with future webinar events like this one. But this is our agenda for today. So for basic introduction, we went on this journey, started in 2016, we mentioned, and the biggest question I kept getting asked was if I can have dinner at my door in an hour with Uber Eats, why does it take months just to complete a work order? And I never had a good answer for that. If my mom can download the Uber Eats app and, not need training and figure out how to use it, then that was the goal. And, sorry that I'm putting you in the webinar here, Mom, but just is what it is. So a lot of times, and this is again going back to like the 2016 timeframe, we had a long time to value for mobile solutions, and our strategy was to try and shorten that as much as possible. So we saw a market for, go to the App Store, download the app, make it easy to install, make it easy to try, and make it easy to configure. So our app suite looks like this. We have MX Work, which is our work order tracking app, meter and asset capabilities, counting, receiving, and issuing, returning from a inventory perspective, and then a handful of other apps highlighted by our MX Approve app for workflow assignments. How does it work? Well, there's no middleware. So what that means is you download the app to your phone, and that phone or tablet connects directly to the Maximo system. So The REST APIs are exposed by Maximo by default. So long as you have visibility from your device to Maximo, you can make a connection, log in, and start using the application. Um, the app does work while you're offline as well. Log in while you're online, and then while you're working, the app will download some data that it needs to perform offline transactions for. So if you do go offline, those transactions will be kept and synchronized when you're reconnected. So what sets us apart? How does this work? There are no hourly fees, which I think is unique. We do have user-based licensing, but to do the configuration, that's all included in that cost of licensing. So if you need your app to behave slightly different or to have different screens or fields on screens, that all of that configuration is included, and A3J Group will do that on your behalf. We strive to do monthly app updates. We're running at probably about a 5 or 6 week release timeline, but we've put out releases on a frequent basis, which includes not just bug fixes, but also new features. So we really try to stay fast in what we do and how we do it. From a training perspective, we offer user guides, we offer onboarding, we'll jump in and do troubleshooting, um, screen sharing, whatever we can do. We've even, developed debugging capabilities, trace logs, etc. We're really um, keen to make sure that folks are getting value out of the app. So we'll do what we can to provide everyone with the appropriate material so that they get the most out of what we do with the app. And then finally, cadences. We will have regular meetings with customers to discuss issues, talk about usage, and then go over new features and product updates. So that's all I have for an introduction. So from here, we'll take it into the app. So the first thing we wanted to do is just talking about logging in and troubleshooting. So from here, I have a Maximo 7.6 environment. Some of you still may be on the 7.6 version of the app. Others may be on the Maximo application suite. MxMobile works with both. And really the biggest difference is this URL that needs to be input. So if I have a Maximo 7.6 instance, I would just pretty much type in the URL as you see it here, log in with my username and password, and it would take me to that home screen. So some of the things that may happen or occur in that process, if I have a typo and I mistype that URL, or if I have a typo and I mistype my username or password, you'll get a different message. For example, if I type in a bad password here and hit login, I'll get a message, please verify your username and password. I'll get a slightly different message if we can't connect to the URL. Still generic in nature, but you would see something slightly different. For example, if I made a typo here and hit connect, what you'll see is a little bit of a back and forth there. From the perspective of a mass environment, you'll see if I have this other URL. If I put in a Maximo application suite URL, I'll get an actual Maximo login screen that pops up. Some folks may also have like a third-party identity provider, such as Azure or Okta or one of the other popular identity providers on there to do a secure SAML-based login. So in that case, what we do is we actually will have a need to grab that password for a second, 1 second here. Um, we'll actually have you log into the MxMobile application, grab the session cookies, and then authenticate through the app that way. So the app really supports both application suite and 7.6 environments natively, and can work with SAML-based Maximo instances natively as well. So I'm going to go ahead and log out and continue with the 7.6 instance that I have here. Now, when I log in successfully, what you'll see is in the app, you'll see this loading application. So what it's doing when you first connect to the app is it's actually checking to see which apps you have access to and which apps could possibly be hidden due to security rights. So the way that that works is we will check to make sure that the user who's logging in has security access to the object structures that are really driving each one of these apps. So in the case of MX Work, it could be the MX Woe Detail object structure, the MX API Woe Detail object structure, or maybe even a custom object structure that we create in order to, set up MX Mobile specific security access. So it will check to make sure that the user has read access to each of these. If it does not have read access, it will hide those. And if it does have read access, you will see the icon here to be able to click into it. So if you see a message that says, there are no apps to show because of security, what we can do is go into, there's a few different things that we can do there. But first would be to check security access. So one thing that we've noticed as IBM has progressed the Maximo application through the application suite to version 9 is there is a system property called enable OS off. This here is set to 1 and is read-only in version 9 and higher. So what that means is that all object structures will require security privileges and access. So some customers that have recently migrated from 7.6 to the application suite, we'll take them through and help them set up security access to the appropriate apps that they need. So if you're seeing issues where people aren't seeing the apps that they expect to see on the homepage here, could just be that we need to do a little bit of security through the object structures application in Maximo. One example would be if I were to go to the object structures application here, looking at the difference between MX API Woe Detail and MX Woe Detail. It's got this authorization name here. So from a security groups perspective, I would need at least read access to MX API Woe Detail for the MX Work app to show inside of MX Mobile. So that is how that works. Now we also have a list of all of the default object structures that are needed for all of the features and functions of MX Mobile to work based on app. And so if anybody needs any of that, please don't hesitate to reach out and we can provide that. Okay. So next up, we'll get to searching. Searching is always a hot topic here. If I click into the MX Work app, by default, it's going to pull up, maybe the first 20 or so work orders that it finds that matches certain, default set of statuses. Some people may have configured more statuses to be shown, some less, but it'll show that initial list by default. If I scroll to the bottom of the list, what happens is we get that sort of infinite scroll. So it'll load the next 20 and the next 20 after that. That number is configurable. Obviously, the higher the number, the longer it'll take to come back, but the less scrolling that would be needed. The lower the number, the faster it would come back, but the more potential scrolling that would be needed. So that number can be found in the settings here, and it's shown by the number of records to show. From a basic searching perspective, though, we've got a few different features. We've got the search work orders bar, and then next to it, a little barcode scan icon. Clicking the barcode scan icon will launch the camera by default in the app for scanning barcode codes or QR codes. We also have the ability to toggle like a Bluetooth scan to not use the native camera in the device. That would be like for maybe devices that don't have cameras, or if you had a Bluetooth connected like scan gun or something like that. The search bar works such that it's a single search bar that can be connected to as many fields on the list as possible. So by default, for work orders, I believe work order number and description are connected to the search bar, but we can open it up to really any field. So we have some customers that want to be able to search by the asset number. Some customers want to be able to search by the asset tag field on the asset. And others have their own custom fields that they added that they want the search bar to be connected to, and all of those can be supported. Now, some of these fields are like wildcard type searches, where others are more text-based search. We can find those in database configuration. For example, if I go to the work order object and look at some of the attributes, we can see that the description field is a full text type search, whereas the work order number is a wildcard type search. And that matters because the app, as I mentioned in the introduction, uses the REST API to connect back and forth to Maximo. So we are sort of beholden from a search perspective to what the out-of-the-box REST API search capabilities are. So that search capability varies by this search type, and I'll give you some examples here. So if I had let's work on the work order number. If I type in part of a work order number, what'll happen is it'll do like that wild card search. So if I type in 10, it'll find anything that has 10 in that work order number. It's also searching the description. So in this case, if I had, 10 in the description of a work order, it would find that. But in this case, as I continue to type, it narrows the search that much further. So if I get eventually to 1001, it does that. You also notice, and it might not be obvious just looking at the screen, because I have this device in my hand and am typing. But when the search pauses, or I should say, when I pause typing for 1 second or longer, it's going to assume that I'm done and want to search. And so that number can be tweaked as well. So if you find it that it's too long of a time or too short of a time, let us know and we can work with you on that to really optimize how long it should take when you stop typing before it actually fires a search. If it's searching, let's say, for example, I pause, and then it stays searching, and then I, keep typing. At some point, there may be a case where what's in the search bar doesn't match what actually got searched. In that case, you can just sort of take your finger and drag the screen down. You'll see that little wheel start to appear. And when I let go, it'll refresh and synchronize everything back up where the search term is what you're searching for. So let's say, for example, I start typing MO, and then I probably need something that's a little bit longer search wise. There you go. So I typed month. It was searching. I added the ly while it was searching. It's come back with the results for month. Now all I have to do is hit pull down to do the refresh, and it brings back the monthly search. Okay. So other things searching wise, we have, if I type in, let's say, boiler for boiler, you can see that's another one of those fields. Um, Maybe a better example, tell you what, we'll go into MX asset, and search for 114. So you see I get two records back with 114 in it. 11430 is the asset number of the first one, and 7114 is the second one. I can add the star character to the end of it to say I want anything that starts with 114. And then subsequently, I can also add the star to the beginning to say that anything ends in 114. So the star character, which may be a little bit different. Some folks might be used to the like percent character inside of Maximo. But the star character is what the REST API goes off of, for sort of starting and ending things of that nature. Same thing for, if I were to type like comp here, you would see there's no assets found. But if I type the full word computer from the description, it finds a bunch of assets. I can leverage the star character here, to find those computers, as well. So star character is key there. The other thing is, leveraging the quotation marks, right? So typing in 114 gets me both of those records, even though 114 was only partially, specified as far as the asset number. I might be wanting something that says distinctly 114 and not something like 114, in which case, uh, butchering this, I can use the quotation marks eventually, to specify more of an exact match. Well, I didn't do that. All right, moving on. Um, Some we do have the ability here to add additional options. So beyond just the ability to scan, we have the ability to do an advanced search. So the current search bar works more like an or. So if I type in, the word month, it would find everything that had the word month in the description, or anything that had the word month and the work order number. And it's going to use basically like an or style search capability to um, to give back those results. In the case where I want more of an and, I would use the advanced search, which would specify individual fields. I could say, work type is CM and asset number is such and such, and leverage that advanced search that way. And then finally, we have the last option we have is a map. So we have the ability to surface a Google map and drop pins on the map based on lat long and service addresses inside of MxMobile. So just some basic search functionality there. Lastly, on the searching front, each of the apps, if you hit the little menu button up here, we have the ability to surface some saved queries. So currently have one saved query from the work order app called owner is me. You can see it gives you a little badge there of how many are in that list. If I click on it, it applies that saved query here. You can see no records found, which we expected since that showed us that there were 0 in the list. And if I click that button up there, it clears out the saved query filter and fetches me a clean list from that. So how do we do that from a work order tracking perspective? We have saved queries. So if I have a public query here for recent work orders, I can click that and it gives me back a list of work orders. If I were to go to the object structure that controls this application, I can then come down to query definition and add any saved query that I'd like. So let's say WoTrack is the application, and then the query name is recent work orders. We'll say OK. And once that saves, now if I click Save Queries here, I get that second query. And when I apply it, I get my work order back. Now there was only one work order because it's also beyond the save query going to apply the additional filters that I have for status. So this demo system is set up not to show waiting approval or completed work orders. So this was the only work order in the list that matched that save query. The other thing to note here is there is a checkbox on these object structures called load query from all apps. If that gets flagged, what would happen is all of the public save queries would be available to this object structure and would show up in the app. So some customers have a long list of saved queries and maybe want to target specific mobile queries for the app. In that case, what they would do is either uncheck this box and specify the queries from the query definition dialog here, or if this were one of the API object structures, a lot of this information is read-only. So what you could do is just duplicate that object structure, make it your own, uncheck the box, define the queries, and then we would configure the app to point to that specific object structure. Okay. So I want to dive into some basic configuration, spend a few minutes on that, and then we can save the remainder of the time for some Q&A. So with that, all of what you're seeing here, and when I say all, I should qualify that and say most of what you're seeing here is configurable, right? So from the behavior of the search bar to the number of options in the list, I mentioned there are some others such as advanced search and mapping capabilities, to the sort options here, to the colors on the bar, to what fields you're seeing on the screen. You kind of get the idea. Is all of that is configurable. So if is a need to show, let's say, the work order priority or the work type or the scheduled start date or any of the other type of information that you might find useful from a list perspective, we have that ability to make those changes. And we have had that ability for pretty much since the inception of the product. What's different recently is we've launched a product called MX Studio. And what MX Studio does is it allows us to perform configurations through a user interface. So if I find the environment, I have the ability here to, I mentioned, setting specific object structures, so I can change the object structure from MxWoe detail to, let's say, MX API Woe detail or some other custom object structure. I can change the status clauses that get defined here. So if I wanted to include waiting schedule work orders, or maybe I have some other synonym status that I want to include here, I can do that here. And then we have, several other options, either the sort attributes, the search attributes that control the search bar up here. So lots of different options from from a object structure and object definition for each of the different apps. We have another tab here for screens. So if I look at the detail screen, I can see the different columns and rows. So if I click into one of these work orders here, you can see that's driven by work order site, location, asset, etc. And I have the ability to add more fields here to the screen. And then finally, we have the ability to edit just additional properties. So can view the map. Is the timer enabled? Yes or no? And just some various things we could turn on or off. Different tabs, different menu options. So lots of capabilities here. It should be noted, and this is really why those quarterly cadence meetings that we have are important. When we introduce new features, such as you can see we have a little icon in the bottom here, which was a new feature added called Ask AJ in the last release in January. Um, those aren't enabled by default. There may be some things that we enable by default, but most of the time, vast majority of the time, we introduce new features and we aim to keep the app as backward compatible as possible. We don't want all of a sudden, technician upgrades to the latest version of the app on their device, and all of a sudden they log in and things aren't the same as they were yesterday. We want them, to stay on the latest version of the app, but then, the experience that they have inside of the app is seamless from upgrade to upgrade. And what we'll do is on those cadence calls, we'll get together with leadership and talk through what's new. If anything is new that is interesting, what we'll do is we will um, basically configure on certain aspects here such that you guys can then maybe try it in your non-production environments, such as like a dev environment or a test environment, training environment, etc. And then, roll that out to production when you're ready. Um, and so that's something that we can help you with. But you also have the ability through MX Studio to do this yourselves. May take a little bit of training, may take a little bit of getting used to the interface here. It's something that's relatively new that we've just launched, and we will be improving it over time as we go, as we learn more, as we get feedback, and as we use it ourselves, really, and find more things that we can do with it, or things that we can do better with it. So let's make a basic configuration here and try it out. So what we'll do is maybe we will add the skid start field to the select string for our work order object. And what that'll do is when work orders are fetched, it'll pull all this information plus the scheduled start date. And now that we have that, we can come to the detail page, come to the bottom and add scheduled start as a field. We'll say this is a date time object. Update the screen info. And now, if I were to make a change, by default, that doesn't just show up right away. What'll happen is I will need to actually log out and then log back in. So on login, not only do we authenticate the user against Maximo, but we also pull down the latest version of that URL's configuration. So when we come in here, now we have the scheduled start shown on the screen. So trying to make it easier, not only for ourselves to make changes to support you in a timely fashion, but also, give some folks the keys to do this on their own, because we recognize that, some people are used to that type of capability with the Maximo platform. It's very flexible. It's very configurable with application designer and database configuration and such. So, we want that. Our customers are used to that. We want that same sort of mindset to be applicable to their mobile solution as well. So with that, I will pause. We've got about 20 minutes left in the scheduled time. Um, we'll just pause to see if there's any questions that can be answered at the moment. Well, I don't see any questions, so um, what we can do is maybe show one of those latest features with the last few minutes. So, um, one of the things that we've been focused on is how do we make it easier for folks, and we recognize that some people may be more or less technically savvy with the devices and such. But and we also recognize too that with gloves and clicking and things of this nature, it's not easy to carry around a phone or tablet and constantly be interacting with it while you're trying to work on equipment, and specifically thinking about the field technician in this case. Um, so one of the features that we've added is you'll see this little light bulb in the bottom right. Um, it's called our Ask AJ feature. So we wanted the ability for a technician to just say, hey, I'd like to, let's say, enter 2 hours of time against this work order. Um, And obviously I can use the voice to text capability on the phone or device as well. And to really be able to interact. Now, the trick is not to just go ahead and assume that what comes back is exactly what they want, but to prompt and say, okay, it seems like what you're saying is you'd like to record labor time against the work order. Here's what, I'm assuming you want to do. And then I can say, yes, that looks good. It sends it in and adds the labor transaction. Um, so it's a pretty new feature. We've got it hooked up to be able to do labor time and work logs and meter reading capture and some other capabilities. We'll be expanding that capability to work with more features and functions besides just the basic few that we started with. But it's a useful thing if that's something that's interesting to you guys. Let us know, and that's something that we can enable, um, or that you could enable using MX Studio with the Show Ask AJ option here inside the app. Um, should be noted that currently it only works while online and connected to a service that can process this type of stuff. We are looking at options for doing it while offline as well, but it makes it a little bit trickier. All right. Any other questions, comments, anything else you'd like to see? Well, with that, I will wrap it up. If there's anything that you all need from a support perspective, our email address is support@a3jgroup.com. You can reach us at any time, and we are happy to answer any questions, hop on a call, or generally help realize as much value as we can from the app for your organization. So please reach out. Don't be a stranger. And we look forward to the next one of these sessions. Oh, did I see a hand up? No. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And we will see you at the next one, hopefully.